So thank you everybody for being here. And yes, it's a very interesting topic, of course. I mean, talking about oral pathology is always interesting. And in case you're wondering about that little imagery there of the Olympian 12, but that's because I want you to just paint a little picture. This is something I always think of. This is my imagination. So now walk down this imagination with me. It's interesting. So imagine you walk into a room like that, and the people there are not the Greek gods, but are the 12 disciplines, or not 12, but the 9 disciplines of dentistry. And it's going around the room. Each one is just, introducing themselves and saying who they are, what they do, possibly trying to prove who's the boss. As the introduction goes around the room, eventually it comes to oral pathology. And oral pathology gets up and in a very deep and powerful, possibly Amitabh Bachchan voice says, or maybe a Morgan Freeman says, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. For without me, none other would be needed. Of course, a shocked silence falls on the room. And considering this is imaginary, but nonetheless, this would be a good time to leave the room because obviously all hell is going to break loose and that room is going to implode. But the thing is, Greek mythology and riot-causing statements aside, and of course we know in reality that without pathology there would be no need for any discipline, including oral pathology itself. But since we are the discipline studying oral pathology, we are still the foundational science of dentistry. And that puts us really in an extremely good place. I mean, well, we really are the foundational science, right? And still, around this time last year, I was getting so many calls, so much of information, so many messages, young colleagues telling me, of course, I'm not saying it was all because of anything within oral pathology. It was a tough time. People were locked in. Everyone was a little depressed, and that probably compounded with a lot of other things. Got a lot of people to get back to me and say, we are feeling sad. One even I was very sad to hear said, I wish I'd never done oral pathology. That was heartbreaking to me. That was very sad to think that anyone amongst our midst could feel so left out and so sad and so down to ever think that. Because I, of course, love oral pathology. So it just felt sad that we were not doing enough. Made me think we need to do something. But then what to do? It's one person. What could you do? So first I thought, okay, I'll at least just, get in touch with a few and have a conversation, see what they want, what's on their mind. And this was, of course, the time when everything was going online, right? There were Zoom meetings left, right, and center, and things happening online. And it was a good time to go online, actually. So then I set up this little conversation with the first group, and we just talked about what they thought. I put in my little, 2 pennies worth of what I thought we could do, and this was the beginning of, what was happening. This I think was probably maybe the 18th of July of last year. Of course, before I did this, Nandini is here, and Nandini was talking to me, and Nandini has always been a part of a lot of what I did. So before this, we just had a trial. I mean, she didn't know, but I had a trial run of a Zoom meeting because I don't like to do anything without really trying it first. And we had to have a discussion about a paper we were just completing with her and one of our ex-students, Dr. Sujit. So we had that as a Zoom meeting, and I practiced editing that. I was never going to put it up, but it just gave me that trial run. So anyway, we started, and this conversation I had with this group of young oral pathologists gave me a lot of idea of what I could do. And among those was, something like career horizons so that they would know where to go. But it was just the first step of what could happen. But then I was also thinking, okay, wonderful, but if I meet 4 or 5 people at a time, it'll take forever to reach a notable number. So this needed to be somehow made bigger, made faster. So The one thing we know is, of course, the exponential growth that is on in the social media, the combined power of the social media. And at that point, it was also YouTube. Almost everybody was on YouTube. There had never been as many people watching videos as it was then. So, combining all of that together, it's time to use the power of clicks, hashtags, follows, and subscribers to start a movement seemed right. So, that was the step I took. It was a cause to champion. But of course, every cause and every movement needs champions and it also needs supporters. And different people can do different things. Not everybody needs to do the same thing. Coming to promoting oral pathology in 2021, which is about what each of us can do to promote oral pathology, and a little bit about me sharing what I have learned in this much time so that anyone else who wants to do anything maybe can do it faster. Whether you want to be a passive or an active supporter, both is possible. First things first, so what is promotion? Because very often when we think promotion, we think marketing, we think goods, we think money. That's not necessarily the way it is. It is also defined. One definition also is to support or encourage a cause, a venture, or an aim. But within that is also the fact that someone needs to support it or encourage it. So to support anything, if you're serious about any form of supporting anything, there needs to be commitment. And commitment, I think the best way to commit anything is to put down your time and to put down money. You may wonder why money, but well, we'll get to that. How much time and how much money? I read this book recently by Rashid Kapadia, and he is talking about how you make commitments to projects. So what he says is, you have put in allotted enough time and money when it hurts a little bit. So now you can decide what hurts a little bit for you. The requirement of time is, of course, obvious. You just have to have time for everything. And sometimes, of course, time is money. So whichever way it works the same. But just go through how many ways you can, or any of us can support oral pathology and promote oral pathology. So you could have committed support, where you specifically do some work, put in an effort. Like all the pictures you saw, well, these are the same people. Over 50 people have been on the platform. Now, every one of these who have presented have obviously committed support to oral pathology. They have worked preparing a lecture, seeing so many things about it, turning up is obviously not without a certain level of commitment. And every one of them has asked me what would be the best topic. Have some have put in what they think is the best topic of their life, what they are focused, what they love. So they have shared that with us, and that says commitment. I don't know what else could say commitment. So this is one way. Then there have been, of course, even many more, probably around 100 people who have turned up on the channel to moderate, to share their expertise, to participate on the sessions, and of course, everyone who's been viewing. And now, these are all from the channel, from the Oral Pathology 360 channel. But frankly, you can do this anywhere. You support any channel, anything that says oral pathology, and you're doing it. So the passive supporters of the channel, besides the active supporters, the passive supporters have brought a lot. You may not think that click by click and view by view where we have reached. We have over 25,000 views, something that does not show within the details on the channel. Over 3,500 hours of watch time. That's a lot of watch time. Okay. And of course, nearly 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't really find a way to add up the likes and the comments and the shares. It may someday figure it out, but right now I couldn't find. But there are a lot of those too, and everyone counts. So now that is one thing. But I mentioned about how the clicks and the bits and the bytes will make actually a phenomenon today. It's like how drops make an ocean. So how does this work? Because this is something we need to understand, that our regular activity online can make a difference. So how does it work? You have this, the thing is, we fundamentally, sometime back we had this lecture on AI and we were talking about how the AI, how the algorithms analyze patterns and identify patterns. Now, the thing is, we are oral pathologists basically by numbers, we are too few to be able to create a discernible pattern for any of these AIs to pick it up organically, in the sense of naturally identify these patterns and then create those communities or those sites or those collections which will show up when someone has an interest. So we got to make an attempt to train the system. And how we can do that? Some of the things that happen online, you must have come across them. So just going through what each can be. Now, one is the very powerful hashtag. Now, you might notice that I tend to hashtag things: Oral Pathology India, Oral Pathology Tuesdays, Oral Pathology 360, Oral Pathology itself. And sometime back, we had an international conference where there was a hashtag IOP and a hashtag IOP21. So why hashtags? Basically, these connect related ideas. So if today also you go put hashtag IOP, you will find every comment and from across different platforms. If you put it into Google search and you put hashtag IOP, you will find everything that has hashtag IOP from across the platforms, and you can go to the one that you like. So basically, we are creating a pattern, a collection. It's also good to connect ideas. Let's say we are now tomorrow thinking about what should be the topic. I mean, okay, we want to promote oral pathology, but what in oral pathology? How? We could run hashtags and then connect all our ideas to reach one unified concept. And that is how it helps. And I think thing, of course, is you can build communities around the hashtags. When you find people who are following the same hashtag, you know that that's a community you want to follow. And that is how you can make new connections. The other thing is, of course, the likes. We have all this thing about likes on the social media. And, we feel yeah, we always told that obsessing about likes as an individual is not a good thing and is not healthy. And I agree, it is not healthy to think about how many likes I'm going to get today on my post as a person. Yes. But when you're promoting a brand, a cause, then it counts because again, it gives it greater visibility. Something that gets a lot of likes gets greater visibility, which is why almost every Fortune 500 company and even the US Department of State spends a lot of money and a lot of time trying to get more visits on their sites and on their social media platforms and also to get likes. Of course, we are not going to spend money, so we are going to just have to do it ourselves. So we need to keep doing that. So as you're going through different posts, just make it an effort. Every time you see something oral pathology, like it, share it, put hashtag oral pathology every time you are sharing something oral pathology. There's a lot of oral pathology being shared. Just do that. It makes a difference. The next thing, of course, is a share. Now, each time we share a topic, an entirely new or round of people will see it. Every one of us now within our, say, social media, like for example, for me, within my Facebook page, okay, my page is mostly, of course, oral pathologist, but my profile, let's say I share it on my profile. So what happens? There are non-dentists. They are majority are dentists, and then there are some, of course, of the medical professions, but then there are also, of course, non-medical and non-dental community that is there for every one of us. So if we are sharing a topic that's oral pathology related, what happens? All these people will see it. If it is shared enough and it goes around enough, at some point, what will happen is people, and they are on my list, right? So they know me. They may not really know exactly what I do as an oral pathologist and what oral pathology is, but sooner or later, I hope that they will actually come and ask me, okay, so you're posting all this, so what is oral pathology? And that gives us an opening to explain what is oral pathology rather than us going out and trying to convince people, listen to us, this is what we do, this is what's oral pathology. This passive way of going and telling people, or rather getting them interested enough to come and ask us what is oral pathology, will be by far a lot more successful. Then there is comments. So comments, of course, create connections, and YouTube specifically has this thing. A video that gets a higher number of comments will come higher in their own search engine. So if you have, you have a video, let's say on salivary glands, and it gets a number of comments, then the next time someone puts a salivary gland, that video will show up higher up in the search. The next thing is subscribes. Every time you find something that is on YouTube and it has a connection to oral pathology, or for that matter to dentistry, I would say subscribe. You are supporting those. And to be very clear, true that after you reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you get a ranking that that gives you a higher placement. That not you, not the channel, but the content on the channel, a higher placement on the search. So that makes a difference. That helps. Now we have to be realistic. We are, of course, never really going, and oral pathology content is never going to have 1 million views in a day, for it to make a financial difference, but it does make a scientific difference. So just find any channel you're moving through, it shows up. It really doesn't take anything. Hit the subscribe. You're supporting it, you're promoting your own subject. And I know there is one of the things is sometimes people feel that if I hit subscribe, everything else that I have subscribed is going to be seen, which is true. But you have the opportunity to choose that your subscriptions remain private. My own subscriptions are private. Nobody can see what I subscribe to, what all channels I subscribe to, and it is fine. So, but your subscription counts, and also you get highlights from where you know from whatever the channel goes online or goes live, what is happening there. I'm a particularly private person, so I don't really like everything about my life out on the net. And I know that sounds funny with the amount of places I'm on the web, but if you notice, most of it is work related. There is not much personal data out there. So it is really your personal choice, but just telling you that this option is there. The next is search. Of course, everything you have heard about search engine optimization is how the algorithms consider and give you your search results. So when you put something, even you put in like you put oral submucous fibrosis, which are the articles that are going to come up? The topmost, the top few. That tells you what is the optimization that has taken place. It is the articles that were most read, or the ranking of the site on which they are there. So one of the two things will decide which are the top few. And of course, those are the ones which are more likely to be read. Something that is on the 10th page is probably no one is going to reach down unless you're actively searching. I am sorry. For the first time, I forgot to turn my phone on silent. Sorry. So the next thing is, of course, topics, the topics that you search. So try and put in some oral pathology topics, search. And when the search results come, try and click on some of those specific topics, because that is how we will be actually training the search engines. And that is what we can do. Another very effective way I have found is to just be there, be seen everywhere, be on every social and professional platform, have your profile, mention that you are an oral pathologist there, and use it in a professional way, which means, of course, that besides mentioning that you are an oral pathologist or a dentist, whichever you want to put, or in fact, you can put both, because finally we are dentists. But it is very important. And then try and, I know it's very often we are using our Facebook more as friends, but actually we are also using it. I think I can challenge you, in almost everybody's Facebook connections, there are more dentists than there is anything else. So just get in there and see, put, remember your profile picture for the most part is supposed to be your profile. Great as family members, pets, gardens, plants are, they are not supposed to be there. It should be your profile because people can then see who you are. Another thing is, especially Facebook has this thing now which makes your profile private. Now, if you have put that on, which means that you send me a connection, you send anybody a connection request, they cannot see who you are. And if they cannot see who you are, how are they going to accept it? So, at the very least, then in which case, just mention that, hey, listen, I'm a dentist, I'm an oral pathologist, we are in the same branch, and I would like to connect. Otherwise, it's very difficult for people to do that. The next thing is keep building your network. You may think it doesn't count much. It does. And especially if, like I said, if you have a picture there. Now, one of the people I have, there are a lot of people I have met only through LinkedIn, and then who I have actually connected with, done work with. Um, Professor Keat even came on the channel. The reason I knew him was because I knew him on LinkedIn. So then when he first time he came to India, we had a conference. Uh, I could walk up to him and he was like, yes, you're Mandana. Yes. And we met. So then we put a face to it. And then so when I went and told him, please come and speak on the channel. I'm trying to promote oral pathology. I knew he loves oral pathology. He does a lot of work for it. So of course he didn't say no. He made the time, he turned up. So this is where the connections really count. And yeah, of course, that is all the places that you could connect. So to sum it up, if you want to be a passively, promoting oral pathology, it really in this year, it doesn't take too much. You can do it in less than 5 minutes a day. You can keep it as a dedicated time, or you can do it within the time you're already there on the web. I think almost everybody is on the web and social media for more than 5 minutes, as it is doing their own thing. So use that same time you're doing your own thing to basically add a little bit of oral pathology support. And of course, set up your own, take the time to set up your own oral pathology, your own profile as an oral pathologist. You will be promoting yourself, but inevitably, you are also promoting oral pathology. So that was about passive support. And you may also choose to go the full hog, the whole thing and be a full time champion. I do realize it's a little extreme. I start this with a reason. And I thought I'll do it in 6 months. It's almost 11 months. It's been a full-time job. I started at 8 days a week, and I'm saying 8 days a week not because I forgot that there are 7 days in a week, but because that in the beginning, almost till my summer break, which actually almost didn't happen, but it was a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. everyday job, 8 days. Now I have it a little more under control. I have managed to learn a lot more. So now it is a 4 day, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., which I hope ends at 6 p.m., but realistically actually goes on till 7:30 almost every day. I'm I'm not unhappy doing it. I love oral pathology. I decided to do something, I'm doing it. So it's not a great big deal. I'm just hoping to let you know that if you want to do something like this, maybe you should be a little prepared as to what you have to put in and how much time it will take. Uh, some things I learned in this year of how to get this. One is, of course, if you are planning to have events that are weekly, you need to plan ahead. I have lectures, I think, scheduled almost a month and a half ahead because you obviously can't expect people to give quality lectures last minute. They need to know that. So scheduling that takes time for the moderators and experts. I find that having more people on a regular day makes the whole thing a lot more interesting. Gives us the time for discussion. Um, and also because if you're doing a live stream, there is a time lag between what happens on Zoom and what happens on YouTube. So when we stop talking about the topic here, it people on YouTube who are your actual audience will only realize it about a minute or so later. So that time can then be a little odd. So it's good to have interaction, and the moderators and the experts always help with that. The other thing is it overcomes that situation where you have this interesting topic which happens to us all the time in the conferences. You have this great topic, you hear a great lecture, you're waiting to ask questions, and then you're told that okay, we know this, one of those lines, this topic was so well covered that it doesn't need further, nobody has any questions, there's no further essentially discussion. Essentially telling you, please don't ask questions. So, with that in mind, I did not want this to be so. I want it to be really completely covered, truly like a seminar where one person presents, but there's a group discussion. So, which is what we do. But then that means also getting all those people. Another thing you really need to do is if you're going to have your projecting oral pathology, it has to be as good as it can be, right? It requires to have what I would say pizzazz, let's put it. It has to have that impact. It's not just the science, it is everything. It's the presentation, it's how it looks, it's how it sounds, it's how people's background is, how the lighting is. It's everything. Now, I'm not saying I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert by any means or any stretch of imagination. I'm learning as I go. But really, take the time. If you're going to have people on any meeting that's going to be afterwards available to view full time, it's helpful to take a trial. So those trials need to be done. Making the artwork, use something like Canva. It's something to learn, and I hope you all have noticed that my artwork has improved through the months. I don't know. Maybe you can put a comment and let me know if it has. If you like the artwork, well, it's all my own job. And again, I'm no expert. I'm trying, I'm learning, but they're there, and it helps you make each thing exactly to the size that you want it, because of course, each one of those platforms have a different size requirement. Then, if you want it to be really professional, you need an access, you need to have a mailing list and you need to have mailers prepared. So, platforms like MailChimp will give you a free account up till 2000 contacts, and then you can prepare each week's mailer and information to be shared and sent. And if you are sharing events, now I know there's a whole lot, and you don't really have to be doing this full time like this. Everybody who is, there are so many events, that are going on every week. There are dozens of webinars we are seeing every week. Initially, I used to post them in the posts section of my page or on my LinkedIn profile. But now I realize that if you make them into events, they work better, they get a better coverage. And finally, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to get coverage. So put them there, put them in the events. Everybody who has those words, like in Facebook, they come under health because that's the only thing that fits us. So then everybody who has that health in somewhere in their profile as something they like will be shown that event. The event section on LinkedIn is more new and rather clunky at the moment. It makes some odd decisions by itself. If you're filling in the time you start, and if you forget to put the end time, which we normally would not put, it does what it wants to do. So like some days back, I had an event that was supposed to go on for 11 hours. And the thing with it is it does not let you make corrections. There's no edit on the event. If you want, you have to take it off. So just giving you that. WhatsApp, and a lot of you may have received my WhatsApp notifications. WhatsApp is a good thing. Set up a business account. You don't have to forward to 5 people at a time. You can send up to 250 people. It's a broadcast, but there's always a but, right? So the but is that if the person who is the receiver has not added you in their address book, has not added your that number in their address book, they will not receive a broadcast information. And this happens quite often. A lot of people know me. And in fact, there are people who have subscribed to my form and asked me to send them the WhatsApp information. But because afterwards they have not added the number into their book, they will not really get it. So these are all the things you can do is just see information. It's all finally all about information, information, and information. Yeah, of course, you have the time possibility of being part-time champions. People who have supported and backed me through everything, right from when I cannot find somebody last minute, one of them chips in. One time when I was quite ill and I wasn't sure I would be able to actually sit through the whole episode, I had them chipping in. So this is the kind, and they have told me they would help. So I know I can count on them. I know there must be a lot of other people I can approach and who will help, not just me, but probably everybody who is running something similar must be obviously knowing people who would help. But the thing is, it's much easier when someone just tells you, hey, listen, I'm there, rather than me looking. So I know I can count on them, and they have always come true. And they're definitely, every single one of them, love the subject and do really a lot. And I appreciate their effort in backing me with this. So, whatever the level of involvement you have, or whatever it is, please remember while you are online, you are all ambassadors of oral pathology. What we do will reflect. If you have, either you should literally be incognito and not mention you're a dentist or an oral pathologist, or then if you are mentioning it and people know, you have to be really careful about what you do. So one of the first things I had when I was starting was and this was last year, was realizing that there were all sorts of things going wrong with online meetings. And there were, of course, we have all seen these videos of pets walking across, family members walking across the scene in underwear. And there is even somewhere out there a Zoom meeting where somebody actually used the loo during it. And that video is also there. I hope it's taken down by now. Uh, but the point is, all these things happen. You need information before you do anything. So I studied all that. And I had even put up a post at that point on my blog. In fact, something happened to me just about 2 weeks back. If any of you were watching the day when, in fact, the whole live stream went off, we were having Dr. Narayan here, and it was a dentistry session. And probably a lot of people who otherwise were not attending. So it was really sad that on that day it went wrong. So anyway, when we finally started it going, and I finally said, okay, I turned off my camera as usual. He was speaking, and I was okay. I said, okay, that's it. It's going on. I pick up my glass of water, and I always thought I should drink from a glass because, well, it's more ladylike, perhaps. So I pick up my glass of water, and at the moment I put it to my mouth, I realized there was a bug in it, but it was already in my mouth. Now, I obviously cannot get up and walk away. It's just not possible. So, what to do? I was very lucky that my camera was off, and and I have these thoughts going in my head at high speed. If I swallow it, and I mean, I don't know what bug it is. What if I have a reaction to it? So I decided I possibly cannot swallow it. So what to do? I had to spit it back in the same glass. And yeah, I know, quite ick. Anyways, that glass went through 3 rounds of the washing cycle in the dishwasher. But see, that's what happens. I mean, all I can say is thank God my camera was off. Otherwise, this would be something that probably people would remember. Um, Maybe more than the lecture. It would have really messed up the lecture. So this is all, it's always there. It can happen anytime to anyone. So now I sit with a water bottle because nothing can fall in it. So these things happen. It's just, and some you will not be able to help, some you can help. Just be prepared. Finally, if it's going to be online, you need to be prepared. Another thing, I have almost everybody I have asked has agreed and has appeared. Some have been busy after a month, after 2 months. I have almost everybody has appeared on the channel, but there are only very few, and those were because they are camera shy. and they are not comfortable with the setup of being online live. And I can understand that. If last May someone had told me that I would willingly, uh, each and every week, turn up in front of a live audience and be in front of a camera, I would have said they're crazy. But the fact is that sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? Fear is never a good enough reason to not do something that needs to be done. At least that's what my mom always told me. And I follow it. It works. So, yeah, human beings, we can practice away almost anything. Practice. And one of the best things that I found is the easiest one. We all have phones. Whip out your phone, do a 3-minute talk, record it, listen to it, do it every day. Everybody says if you do it for 30 days, you will be comfortable. I tried. I did not really get the time to do it for 30 days. Eventually I just dived right in. I'm sure the earlier videos were not particularly great. Even now, heck, some days they are not great. But it's at the end, finally, we are not actors. We're just trying to do what we want to do best. And it's finally at some point, the science takes over. You forget about the camera, you forget about everything, and you're talking science. And that is always good. But really, take the time. And this is one of those things where also you could use, like I said, commit money. This could be one of those things you commit money to, is you take a course on public speaking. After all, it will do you good. It will do all of us good. If everybody find, at some point, we are all going to have to campaign for oral pathology at different levels. And well, public speaking will help. It's always useful. And then, of course, finally, remember anything that is on the web is permanent. So keep that in mind. It's never going to go away. It is going to be there. That's just one last thing that is there. So to summarize, what did we do? Any promotion needs to identify a cause. You need to know what you're promoting. So we know it's simple. It's oral pathology. You need to know why. It's because we know we have a service that needs to reach everybody. So we need to be able to constantly advance it to get it across to the people who need it. For that, we need recognition, we need reach, and we need parity. So we hope, of course, how are we going to reach these goals? Simplest is we are going to publicize oral pathology. We're going to showcase the knowledge that available by building a knowledge base, building our expertise. And if I have to say, having expertise and subject experts is Dr. Daftari's dream, and I hope someday we will be able to fulfill it, where we will actually have centers of excellence, where we will find experts in specific topics. And sharing our wisdom, well, and building a community, which we are doing, being of service always, and being social savvy. This is what a promotion in 2021 looks like. I think we have fulfilled most of that in 11 months. Uh, these are some of the things, some of the latest messages I have got. It's like there's a sense of pride, a sense of happiness from saying that the live streams and the collections are elegant to saying that they are like Oscars, to people enjoying the fact that they were there and the recognition they got. The fact that we are being brought together by a single thread of oral pathology. No, we have got this was heart, in fact, is something we received from a colleague all the way in Latin America. And we have got friends and colleagues now who invite us and send us invitations and take part in our events from across the world, from Africa, from Europe, from the rest of Asia. We've got invites from the US. So I think we are well on our way of having our community within oral pathology. Now, of course, we need to build our community outside oral pathology. And then we have also had, I'm very happy to say, I've got people messaging me that, after something they watched or something they heard, they have looked around, broadened their horizons, and found jobs. Just this week, one of our young colleagues told me that she's bagged an opportunity to present on a platform like the IDA, and that is something. And that's like, hats off to all of you for making it possible. It just would not have been so without everyone. Obviously, we have a long way to go, but we have taken the first step. And let me end. Finally, there is always, at the very least, 2 points of view, 2 aspects, 2 ways, 2 perspectives to everything. There's every chance you did not really agree with some of the things I said. Perfectly fine. Maybe you can add to what I think. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I would love to see what I can do better. And I hope you will now begin typing there and, share your thoughts. And with that, thank you and have a nice day. Bye. Cool.
Thank you, Dr. Mandana.
Thank you.
In many ways, I know my colleagues concur with me. You have revolutionized oral pathology in this country. And we have begun to appreciate our subject. We have begun to respect our specialty through this lens called Oral Pathology India. And the fact that you have given breaks for many people have helped us connect with many oral pathologists, not just within the country, but across the globe, actually gives a new dimension to what is it about networking through oral pathology. We only used to have opportunities when we met in person during the postgraduate convention or the conference. But then with the launch of OralPathology360, now we have an opportunity to meet our colleagues on a regular basis. In fact, we share ideas, we exchange our ideas. We in fact have initiated new collaborations. In fact, with Sriram Goku, I have actually established a new partnership. And there are many such examples, and many thanks to you. I have some questions from the audience. The first question is, how do you secure data and content from the YouTube account?
I'm not sure I get that. You mean what I put on the YouTube?
Yes.
Or okay. Now anything that is put, that's what I understand what this is about. YouTube gives every video that is loaded. You have a choice when you are uploading a video or whether you're scheduling a live stream. There are 2 choices there. One is a standard license and one is a common Creative Commons license. Now, it is by default set on standard. Now, what standard license means that everything I have created, everything I have put on the channel belongs to the channel. And if, say, for example, if it's your lecture that is there, it is still your property. The intellectual property is of the speaker. So if someone, say, would want to use it, and cite it somewhere, they would need to mention that it's exactly like how you have, say, a paper in a journal. So it is the author. So here it is the speaker or the presenter, the title of the video, the presenter, and on which channel. So very corresponding with what would happen if you were using content from somewhere else. Now, that is what is ideally supposed to happen. But of course, beyond that, it's exactly the same as being on any other publication. If someone chooses to use it without acknowledging the source, there's not much you can do. That's the only thing is if you're ready. I mean, someone uses your content without permission. If you're ready to go to court, there is copyright is now also enforced in India, so there is a possibility. Yes.
Yeah, that's the continuation of the previous question. So how do you deal with copyright infringement? Do you
Well,
have
frankly,
a
so
legal
far,
route and a law in the country that will protect you and your channel if somebody?
yes, there is a legal route. Copyright rules are existing in India. But to be very frank, if the person who is misusing it is also in India, then the jurisdiction will be in India, as far as I understand. How to say this?
Okay.
I would not really go to court.
So this is a message from one of the youngsters. He asks, he wants to know, what is your message to all the youngsters who wish to make a career in oral pathology, but are discouraged by the prevailing situation where the jobs are drying up?
But I would say look beyond oral pathology itself. You know, I think I just showed the comment of a colleague who's gone into a research related job. Okay. There is so much we can do. At this point, this is it. You can go into research, you can go into the publishing sector. You can, actually set up your own lab. Frankly, I would say that setting up your own lab is essentially the same cost-wise, probably less cost-wise than setting up a dental practice. And the fact is, as a dentist, you will be competing with far more numbers. I mean, almost every street in this country has a dentist. Well, what are the oral pathologists out there? So if you're doing a dedicated oral pathology practice and there are people who are doing it, you can be successful. It will take the same 1 or 2 years in the beginning, but I think I'm fairly sure that I don't think anybody here has a dental practice, but I'm very sure that even the dental practice will take that long to set up.
Thank you, Dr. Mandana. So this is a question from our own panelist, Priya. So in the digital space where you have carved a name for yourself, do you envisage organizing master class for the postgraduate students in the country, inviting experts from across the globe?
Wow, that's an idea actually. Okay, I have not really thought about it so far, but yes, there is always a possibility, and why not?
Okay,
That's a good idea.
That's a very good idea, Priya. Thank you very much. And this one is from Ravi.
Okay.
You have given opportunities for several oral pathologists on your channel to speak and participate. What do you envisage for this network of Oral Pathology 360? Do you want to connect with similar networks across the globe? Are there any plans to make it sustainable? And how about organizing an annual e-event and come up with an e-abstract book from Oral Pathology 360?
Well, yes. Actually, I will not go through this in turn. I'll just go with the book first. I am in the process of not just an abstract book. I am working on, I realize that everyone who comes on the channel does so much of work for whatever content they're giving. So we are planning to publish it as one book from the proceedings of the channel each year, so that we have a multi-format media. So, the video exists and people who want to read it can actually read it. Or, so that is actually in the line, it's happening. And I am already connecting with international forums that are very similar. Like I said, the Latin American, the African group, our African colleagues. So it is happening. And otherwise, of course, we are ourselves, the Indian group is the largest, actually. We it's like this. we are so large right now. I think I have to be quoting Spider-Man, of course, with, with great power comes great responsibility. So I think we need to step up and lead the rest of oral pathology around the globe, because there are countries who don't even have oral pathology. We need to be leading the rest. We need to make it a success so that everybody else gets there. So it's really up to us. It's not just that we have these numbers. We actually can literally, I think mostly everybody is oral pathologist, so one can speak comfortably. We can literally, by our sheer numbers, change the global scene of the associations. Okay, but that's only one point, one thing. It is also, like I said, a great responsibility. We got to do that. We are the biggest numbers. We got to organize ourselves. We got to connect. Here we are in a lot of fractured groups. We got to connect with each other. We have one connected love. And yes, keep on expanding, keep on meeting more and more people. It's oral pathology. It's global. It's great. It's great everywhere. And we are just probably less than 10,000 around the world. How many are we? Not to want to get to know each other. I literally go across, when I sit at LinkedIn, I keep looking painfully. And there's a problem. Most of the social media platforms do not actually have, say, oral pathologist in their list, drop-down list where you can choose your occupation. So which means you cannot search for oral pathologists. But you keep looking painstakingly for each oral pathologist and keep sending connection requests and keep getting connected. That is there. And yes, annual event. Why not? I think everybody is here. We organized one, didn't we? We can organize another. We can organize as many as we want. And yeah, definitely, anytime we can do that.
Thank you, Mandana. I have one last question. And before I hand it over to Dr. Priya. So what is that elixir which keeps you going, and what makes you happy, the job that you're doing?
Oh, God. Me.
That elixir.
Just make me. I love oral pathology, and I was 5 when I chose. I decided I wanted to be a doctor. So, and now I'm a doctor. I'm an oral pathologist. I'm in the line that is never boring. I love what I'm doing. I have always loved teaching, so which is why probably youngsters getting in touch with me last year made so much of an impact. So this is giving me a chance to be interacting with a lot of youngsters and to know that I'm making a difference to them. However minute, I know it's not much, it's very little, but what is there not to be happy? Is the way I would say. How many people get a chance to pick up something from their bucket list of the things that they want to do and to do it? So I think I'm actually privileged. So I don't see any downside anywhere. So yes, I'm happy. Maybe that's it.
Thank you, Raghu sir, for moderating. And after Raghu sir's question, at this moment, I remember a phrase by Steve Jobs: "The only way to do great work is to love what you do." And this phrase suits ma'am very well. And she's a rare combination of adaptive mindset and also great enthusiasm. And she's a leader who bring all of us together, and our vision, perspectives have empowered many of us in the field of oral pathology. You always have this out of the box thinking attitude, ma'am, and not just the thinking, you have also executed it so well with the plan of establishing a oral pathology platform. And I could feel so much of positivity in this 1 hour. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ravi, can you please share the certificate? In recognition of Dr. Mandana ma'am's contribution to oral pathology discipline through OralPathology 360, we are pleased to present a certificate of appreciation signed by the senior most oral pathologist, Dr. Dinesh K. Daftari, sir. Ma'am, kindly accept the e-certificate.
Thank you.
And also, we would also like to present a book as a token of appreciation. We hope and pray that oral pathology continues to promote the profession that we are all so passionate about. Thank you so much, ma'am, for everything you do, and we acknowledge all your efforts. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again.
Thank you all. Thank you for everything. Thank you for doing this and giving me a holiday. Thank you for a lovely book. And yes, and thank you for that lovely certificate, which I will cherish forever. I mean, not only have you all made it, Dr. Sir has signed it. That's something to cherish forever. Thank you all. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, there are a few comments in YouTube. So
Okay.
the talk was very inspiring, and our own promoter has messaged it was a great effort from Dr. Mandana ma'am to bring back its old glory and probably much more connecting India to this globalized world in this field. So PGs know oral pathology is a very interesting field. So this is from our Pramod Jali sir. And there are so many other comments like very inspiring talk, great effort and all. So you always rock, ma'am. Keep rocking.
Oh yes, thank you. I hope so. I hope so. And
before we
well,
wind up,
now even if
I
not
would
me, you
like
all
to
are
thank
there
you.
to keep the rocking going. Yes.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Before we wind up, ma'am, I want to thank you for giving inspiration for all the youngsters and giving us all the opportunity to be in your platform. It's an honor to be with you. And I would also like to thank Raghu sir for bringing us all into this team to do this wonderful job of uh, actually enjoying and celebrating the host herself. So I would like to thank Raghu sir for doing this. And I'll also thank Dr. Ravikant, Dr. Priya, Dr. Bhavna for taking all the pain in doing whatsoever. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all. I have to say thank you all. And I mean, all of you have been with me from the beginning. Ravikant has been the first, started with the very first event. And then I think the first time Priya and Bhavna, I think were volunteered by me at some point to join in. It was like, I called them and said, please, you're volunteering. And Nandini, of course, joined in along the way. And Raghu, I have only known really after this. But I have to say, what I absolutely loved about the way he got into this was one of the episodes that we were having. He just called me up and said, Mandana, I like this topic. I'd like to be there on the panel. And I hope that someday every oral pathologist out there feels that this is their home, that this is for them sufficiently enough to feel comfortable, even if they don't know me, get in touch with me. You see a topic you like, get in touch with me and say, I have a special interest, or I'm an expert in that. I would like to be there. It's all about us together, increasing the content value. That will be great, and I'm always very happy Raghu did that. And after that, he's built such a great addition. Anyway, so
Thank you,
yes,
ma'am. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Dr. Ravi, would you like to say a few words? Dr. Ravi?
I think
You're
Ravi, you are mute.
Oh, sorry. No, it's an tremendous work from Madam. She keeps on doing from the very beginning. I know how the things roll on. It's not that easy when we are able to manage one or two things in a month. She has to do it every week, a new episode that has to be planned and absolutely in the best possible way. So the work is not as simple as we think. So the appreciations from my side, ma'am. Absolutely, you're doing a great work for the oral pathology benefit.
Thank you. It has been a great
Thank
benefit.
you.
It has got me in touch with
Ravi.
so many wonderful people.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think I should say thank you to everybody who patiently listened and watched. Yes. Okay. I know this was not a regular episode. It was not the regular oral pathology thing. This was a little different. Anyway, thank you for kind listening and kind watching and being here. And thank you all for your support. And I think we should say bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Okay. I somehow think
Thank
Raghu
you,
has
ma'am.
got
Thank you, everyone.
out. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.